may be asking yourself, why am I dressed like this? Well, we're kind of having a special occasion at the moment. Allow me to explain.
I love James Bond movies. Of all the secret agents, this guy is my favourite. Always facing the enemy and getting the upper hand, every girl falling for him, and most important, he always celebrates with a vodka martini.
Shaken, not stirred.
I'm a huge fan of the guy, as we can see from this little cosplay here. But it's not just the dressing up. I'm a fan of the books, I own all the movies, and most important, I own some 007 video games.
Okay, so this is one of them. James Bond the Duel for the Sega Mega Drive. It was the first game of James Bond not to be directly based on an original idea or book. It was completely made up for your own gaming pleasure.
Well, I wouldn't exactly call it a gaming pleasure. I mean, it's nowhere near as good as Vector Man or Shinobi, but I kind of accept it because it's James Bond. The object of the game is to rescue all the female hostages in each of the 4 levels and then activate a bomb, which in turn will destroy the base, allowing you to move on.
Well, this is great. Everything about the game is great so far, but there's one problem. There's a lot of moments in the game that suck, sadly.
To begin with, Bond does somersaults when he jumps. I don't exactly know whose idea that was, but it's just stupid. I never saw Bond do a somersault in the movies, but if there's any point I might have missed in the films where he does a somersault, someone let me know. All the women hostages in the game look exactly the same, which is weird, and the bombs are so conveniently placed, they avoid all sight of the enemy. Sarcasm. Look! They are in perfect view of the enemy soldiers surrounding it. I mean, even if it wasn't an MI6 bomb and belonged to the enemy, why would they have placed it on their own boat in perfect view? You just don't do that! And if that's not weird enough, check out the villains. We have Jaws and Oddjob, and then we have Bones, which is supposed to be Baron Samedi, and Yo-Yo, which is supposed to be Mayday.
Why did they change the names of Baron Samedi and Mayday? Did they not have the copyright to use their real names or something? If that's the case, why didn't they just replace them with new villains?
Let's take a look at the manual. Notice the pink title. Why the hell did they change the colour? Blue is good enough, wasn't it? Anyway, according to the manual, the villain is called Professor Gravemar. What a stupid name. That's the kind of name you'd find for a one-off villain in a DC or Marvel comic. No insults intended, but it's definitely not the name of a Bond villain. Why not have Blofeld? Was there a copyright problem over that too? I don't know.
The game features no plot explained in the actual game, but let's take a look at what the manual has to say.
Mad Professor Gravemar has attacked a top-secret international satellite launch centre on a remote island in the Caribbean. Having taken control of the scientists, he is set to work building satellites which he plans to launch into space on a shuttle in order to take over the world. To foil Bond's attempt to stop him, the desperately mad Gravemar has built a cloning machine which he is using to reproduce all of Bond's old enemies. Hostages are being held on the island as a human shield, and the Professor has numerous guards with instructions to shoot to kill. Never before has Bond had to face such deadly opposition.
Okay, there's my big problem. A cloning machine? To bring back all of Bond's old enemies? Why? What is the bloody point? I mean, they created a new villain. What's wrong with creating new henchmen?
And even if this cloning thing has happened, I can understand Mayday and Oddjob because they were killed off. But why would Gravemar clone Jaws or Samedi? Neither of these villains were killed off in the movies. On top of that, Samedi seems like a good choice of villain to face again, like the final stage of GoldenEye for Nintendo 64. But Jaws? He became a friend of Bond's at the end of Moonraker, and that was the Roger Moore season. We can clearly see from the cover of this game that this is set in the Timothy Dalton season.
So if that Jaws is a friend, and this is a clone of a bad Jaws, what happens when they cross each other's paths? Wouldn't there be some kind of... What am I doing? I'm nitpicking about this game so much I'm beginning to miss the whole point!
Well, to be honest, there really isn't that much I can say about this game. The 4 levels are really long, they're really hard to go through, you have to find all the girls, making it like a maze, and we all know how much I love mazes. You have to kill the villains before they kill you, it's hard to escape after activating the bombs, and when you reach stage 3 you'll want to turn the game off because the game becomes so boring and repetitious so fast that it's unbelievable.
So why do I accept it? Well, it's a Bond game. There really is no other reason. I mean, they could have just replaced Bond with someone different entirely and just changed the name from 007 The Duel to The Agent. And it probably would have got more praise. I mean, just the fact that they marketed it as a James Bond game is probably the big reason for the criticism that this game received. Overall, it's not the worst Bond game. I mean, it's not really the worst Mega Drive game in general. They just have things about it that suck. And, well, I don't really recommend it, but if there are any James Bond fans out there who want to check it out, then be my guest.
And to be fair, you have to give them credit for this game. After all, it's a good experiment, but just a bad game. Under the circumstances, I guess they did the best they could. I mean, what would happen if they changed the Bond concept into a driving game? People would probably hate it more, and it would probably be accused of being a Spy Hunter ripoff. Speaking of that, Spy Hunter was inspired by 007 in the first place.
So, to make up for my nitpicking, let's review the end of the game. After all, the 4 levels are exactly the same. Just rescue the hostages, kill the bad guys, plant the bomb, and get out. So, to make up for that, let's just see what the last level's like.
Yeah, get this. You never fight Gravemar. Jaws is the final boss. Maybe Gravemar was in the vehicle in the 4th level, but who cares? All I do here is avoid the claw, the grenades, and fire away. Here we are, he's gone down. Oh, look, another woman hostage who happens to look completely different to what the others look like.
Now I must stop for just one moment. What happened in my previous reviews? When I completed the game, I was subjected to nasty, horrible, boring endings for those 2 games. Let's check them out.
He's going down, he's... What? Try without cheating? Still, once you've defeated him, you've beaten the game. Naoko is freed, she and Joe embrace, and now let's see an awesome ending.
There, did you see that? Right, let's see an awesome ending. Why? Why does this happen to me? Why can't I see a decent ending in a Mega Drive game? God, this is more depressing than Ares' death in Final Fantasy VII. No, wait, that's not possible. But that's besides the point. Why can't I see a decent ending? I mean, who's that woman anyway? She doesn't even look like the one I rescued. Man, I can't believe this has happened. I need to play a game that's going to cheer me up. Yeah, this'll work!